This book completely changed the way how I manage money. So today, I'm going to share the top 7 powerful money lessons from The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel, and most importantly, how you can apply them to your life. No one's crazy. Let me tell you a story to illustrate this lesson. When James was a kid, he watched his parents suffer during the 2008 financial crisis as their retirement portfolio took a major hit. The stress was overwhelming. They panicked, sold everything, and moved to cash. That memory stuck with him. 12 years later, Rachel started investing during the COVID market crash. Everyone was scared, but she saw the drop as a once-in-a-decade opportunity. She bought S&P 500 ETF, stayed calm, and walked away with more than 60% return in less than 2 years. Now recently, during the market drop triggered by Trump's tariffs, both James and Rachel received the same advice. Look for undervalued stocks. Rachel took action. James, he stayed out. So, who's crazy? Well, the book says, no one is crazy. The truth is, your experience with money might represent just 0.000000001% of what has happened in the world, but it probably shapes 80% of how you think the world works. Our financial beliefs aren't just about numbers, they're emotional memories. So what does this mean to you? Start getting curious about your own money beliefs, like, why do I panic every time the market dips? Is it because I watched my parents lose money growing up? Maybe you feel guilty spending on yourself, even if it's for a course to grow your skills. Ask yourself, why? Is it because you grew up hearing, save every penny? Ask yourself, where did I learn this belief about money? Is it still helping me today? Once you start questioning your patterns, you begin to take control of them. Confounding Compounding. Let's talk about the GOAT of investing, Warren Buffett. We already know he's rich, but here's what most people miss. At around 90 years old, his net worth is roughly $84.5 billion. Want to hear something crazy? $81.5 billion of that was accumulated after his mid-60s. Why does this happen? Because he started investing at age 10. That gave him over 80 years to let compound interest work its magic. Now imagine an alternate reality. Buffett is still a great investor, earning 22% returns every year. But instead of starting at 10, he only begins investing at 30 and retires at 60. Guess what his net worth would be then? $11.9 million. Still impressive, but 99.9% less than his actual wealth. I don't know about you, but I definitely wasn't investing at 10 years old. At that age, I was more concerned about Pokemon cards than investment portfolios. But the key takeaway here isn't to cry over the years you missed. It's this. Start now. Because time is your best friend when it comes to building wealth. Even if you only invest $100 a month, starting today will put you miles ahead 10 years from now. Freedom. This is my favorite part of the entire book. We chase money. Thinking it'll make us happier, more money equal to more happiness, right? But Morgan Housel said there is something deeper. He said, the ability to do what you want, when you want, with who you want, for as long as you want, is priceless. It is the highest dividend money pays. Freedom. That's the real goal. Money is just a tool to have control over your time. So you can choose meaningful work over desperate work. Wait for a good opportunity after getting laid off, instead of taking the first thing that shows up. Take a break when life gets overwhelming, instead of pushing through burnout because you need a paycheck. Personally, this helped me reframe why I work, why I save, and why I invest. Because ultimately, it's about freedom. And for me, that's the goal. Reasonable is better than rational. We all think we're supposed to be rational with money, right? But Morgan says being reasonable is actually better. Here's why. Let's say a spreadsheet tells you to rent a house instead of buying one because it's the smarter financial move. But emotionally, you feel safer owning your place. It helps you sleep better at night. It gives you stability. Guess what? That's okay. Let's say the mathematical optimal way to build wealth is to invest 100% in stocks, never sell, and just wait for decades. But what if you get anxious during market crashes? What if seeing your portfolio drop 30% makes you want to sell everything? Then that strategy isn't reasonable for you. Maybe you hold back 10–20% in cash. It might not be rational on paper, but it helps you sleep better and stay consistent over the long run. That's what matters. The best strategy isn't the one that looks best on paper. It's the one you can actually stick with. Morgan Housel says it best. Do not aim to be coldly rational when making financial decisions. Aim to be mostly reasonable. Room for error. There's a reason seatbelts exist. Not because we're bad drivers, but because we can't control other people on the road. The same is true with money. Housel talks about room for error, the idea that we must build buffers into our plans to absorb the unpredictable. The book shares a powerful example from the 2008 financial crisis. Homeowners who were heavily leveraged, meaning they borrowed too much to buy homes, were completely wiped out. By the time mortgage rates hit record lows in 2010, they couldn't take advantage of them. They were already out of the game. Same thing happened to Lehman Brothers. They were one of the biggest investment banks in the world, but they took on too much risk. When the market turned against them, they didn't have a cushion. They had no margin for error, and they were done. So how can we apply this? Always plan like things might go wrong, even if they don't. Build an emergency fund, avoid maxing out your credit, don't invest with money you need next year, and if something sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Remember, survival is the first rule of compounding. You have to stay in the game long enough for the magic to happen. You'll change. This is of the most eye-opening concepts from the psychology of money. End of history illusion. It's the idea that while we recognize how much we've changed in the past, we somehow believe that who we are today is who we'll always be. But that's rarely true. Think about it. What was your dream job when you were a kid? Maybe you wanted to be an astronaut, a chef, or a famous athlete. Are you doing that now? Probably not. And if you're in your 30s, there's a good chance that your current goals, values, and lifestyle are ones your 18-year-old self couldn't have even imagined. We need to accept that change is not just possible, it's inevitable. Our priorities evolve, our interests shift, and our definition of success matures over time. And that's okay. In fact, it's healthy. Where we get stuck is when we keep dragging old financial goals with us, even when they no longer serve us. Maybe it's that business idea you no longer care about, or a career path you chose out of pressure, or a savings goal that made sense 5 years ago but doesn't fit your life anymore. Here's the advice from the book that really stuck with me. Financial goals made when you were a different person should be abandoned without mercy. Not reviewed, not renegotiated, abandoned. Why? Because clinging to outdated goals often leads to regret. When we're brave enough to let go of the plans that no longer align with who we are, we make room for new, better ones. The ones that actually reflect the person we're becoming. So if you're feeling stuck or disconnected from a financial goal you set years ago, ask yourself, was that goal made by the current version of me or a past version I've outgrown? If it's the latter, it might be time to let it go. And that's not failure. That's wisdom. The seduction of pessimism. Let's end with something you see every day, in the news, on social media, even in your own head. Pessimism sells. Bad news grabs our attention. We're naturally drawn to headlines that warn of crashes, inflation, layoffs, or economic collapse. Why? Because pessimism feels urgent. It sounds serious. Pessimism sounds smarter, while optimism often feels like a sales pitch. And it's true. We hear a doomsday prediction on the news, and suddenly we're questioning our investments, doubting our financial plans, or feeling like everything is about to fall apart. But here's the thing. Headlines are designed to get clicks, not to guide your financial future. So what does this mean for you? Be careful with the stories you consume. Just because something sounds urgent doesn't mean it's true or relevant to your life. If you're constantly reacting to the fear-driven cycle of media, you'll end up making decisions from anxiety, not clarity. If this video opened your mind, the next one will help you take action. Watch this video. It'll show you how to turn your financial goal into daily habits that actually move you forward.